Hi everybody, it's Greg with Easy Realty. Happy Friday! Here's this week's podcast. This week we've got a bit of a doozy, which when I first got here I didn't know what a doozy was. I thought it's something the dog did when you took it for a walk, but apparently it's something really good. And this week we're looking at IMAPP, so we better get on with it. So as it's Friday, February 2nd, of course, it's Poets Day. And no, before you ask, that's nothing to do with about me being a poet and didn't know it or any of that kind of rhymey stuff. But it stands for piss off early, tomorrow's Saturday. So we best get to it. All right, so first a couple of pieces of news. Got some welcomes. We have a couple of new agents. We have William and Stacey, who are apparently together. Now, William has chosen not to have the MLS, Stacey has, and far be it from me to suggest that whenever he needs to get onto the MLS, he'll ask Stacey, no, they would never do that. Come on, you know I'm going to encourage that. So to Stacey and William, welcome. And this may be one of the first podcasts you've seen. Also, we got a couple of tips this week. There's a nice little tip we've got on YouTube, which is one of our other agents, Steve, shared with us. We've got some information on from the MLS this week, which I have no idea about. It's called MLS Rent Spree. I've known nothing about that, but we'll find out about it. But we're today going to look at IMAPP. Now, a big shout out to our Easy Realty agent Steve, who's down in the beautiful city of Port Charlotte in Florida, who pointed out a little tip for us all, in actual fact, that during the feedback for the first video that we did, which if you recall was on forms, I believe, somebody pointed out that I needed to speak a little more slowly. And to answer that, Steve has made a very interesting point here, which I'll refer you to the screen now. This is in fact the video concerned, and I'm going to hit play. Currently it's muted, but you see this little gear icon here? Well, if you click on that, you can change the playback speed. This is at normal speed. But if you change it to 75%, it's still just as comprehensible, but it runs a little more slowly. And I'm going to shut up now and turn the audio on so you can see for yourself. Complicated than this. And literally at the end of this, see what I mean? You can. That's pretty good. Thank you, Steve. So I'm going to show you why I love IMAPP. And you'll see there's several reasons why in just a moment as I go through it. But I'm going to divide it into two parts, one of which covers the local MLS and the listings that we have here in Central Florida. But the other addresses the fact that the multiple listing service doesn't cover the whole state of Florida. And there's a bit of a loophole around that, which we can utilize. So let's get to it. I'm going to need my readers here. So I'm already logged into our MLS service, as you can see here. We utilize Matrix here. You can see various different add-on applications. IMAPP's over here, but we can get to it through Matrix here. Now I'm already logged in as I said, and I look for a property in a place called Troon. Here's our criteria, which is when it shows up. Oh, I'll start again. Residential quick, and we're looking for Troon. And you see we have three results. So we're going to click on the first one here. This is a property local to where we are. And what can we see about this? Well, you see all these little applications, these add-on services at the top here. One of which is showing time if you want to get showing instructions. We've got some attachments here, incidentally, which looks like a couple of looks business documents by the looks of it. And the one we want over here is IMAPP. So I'm going to click on here and see what we've got. So we can see the name of the owner. We can got various views of the property. We could see like a street map, for example. I happen to know this is in a hilly area so that it wouldn't be in a flood zone. But the aerial photograph we can zoom in and out of. You can zoom in, zoom out. This one clearly is overlooking a golf course, although it does face east. There's a big tree at the back, so there might be some shade over the swimming pool if there is one. We can look up if there's a pool or not down here. Unfinished open porch. Doesn't look like there's a swimming pool. Not a problem. But we'll go up here. Here's a nice big red flag. Look at this. They're delinquent in their property taxes. If someone gets 2 years of property tax liens, they can foreclose and take ownership for just the cost of the delinquent taxes. As you can see, there's 2 years missing. Now, that's another idea for a podcast, isn't it? Tax lien sales. But you can see also here, homestead exemption, no, doesn't live in it as his principal residence. We can see the sales history down here. It was the guy paid 139,000, Eshan Debashi, I believe. Puts it into an LLC here in 2020. There's not any mention of a mortgage. He doesn't have a loan on this thing. Here is our tax mailing address in California, which, as you can see, would probably suggest that this is a rental investment property he's using it for, and he has done for some time. Might be a good idea to curry favor with this guy by calling him and saying, hey, listen, do you know there's tax liens on this property? You could lose it very soon if you don't pay your property taxes. Interesting thought, isn't it? But anyway, that's the first one. The second area, I want to bring you up to this comparable properties here. You've got various different links here, Bing's map and so on. Let's look at comparable properties. Now, what this does, it pulls in sales data from properties nearby. You can adjust the information on the sales data. You can change it by lot size, living area, location, when the sale was. And we've got 2 projected sale price here. The closer you can get these two to each other, the more accurate it is. So the first one is basically on a price per square foot. And as you can see, here's our comparable properties, very close by. And we've got some sales here. One was in December 23, another one was in August 23. Most recent was in January. Actually, was that yesterday or the day before? That he just sold. But they're all very similar square footage. This other one here is a value ratio. Now, the way a value ratio works is the property appraiser will use this along with a price per square foot to determine the value of the property based on the sales price of the other properties as a comparison, as a ratio to the actual sales prices and the property appraiser's website for the tax purposes. So the closer you can get those two numbers together, the more accurate the appraisal is. And by the looks of this, it's coming in at around 390, 395, something like that. What did this one just sell for? Well, that went for 450. Maybe it had a swimming pool. Yes, look, here it does. So that's going to factor into the value. I would therefore go in, to me, the price would be, well, 30,000 maybe for a swimming pool, 370 perhaps, I would say. Some of these are furnished because of where they are, but looking back at what the asking price, well, they're asking 353. It's a bit of a bargain, I would say. You know, now there's a further part in here that's got to be mentioned, which is the seller's offering 12,000 towards a new roof. It needs a roof, and a roof's not going to cost 12,000. So, okay, maybe offer them 340. But how you're going to make it work financially is another matter. Moving on to our next property. This one's in a, well, it's in New Smyrna Beach. Notice this number up here is slightly different to the other ones that we had, which usually MLS start with a letter and 7 numbers. This one starts with 2 letters. It's from an adjoining MLS where they have an agreement to share the listing in neighboring MLSs. So I want to have a look here and see what we can find out about this one. So again, ADOM, agent days on the market, CDOM, cumulative or combined days on market. If it was listed with a different agent prior, this number could be quite a lot higher. But they've not gone to town in terms of the description, have they? But anyway, again, let's go back into IMAPP and see what we can find here. See what information is shared here, because there's tons of it. Okay, so here again we see an aerial photograph. This one looks like it's facing north. It's in a little cul-de-sac there. That's not a bad thing. Owner's name, Lucy Hayman, I guess we say that way. In terms of homestead exemption, yes. But look, it's only 25,000. Normally it's 50,000 for a married couple. Tells me this lady might be on her own. And then if we look further down, well, look, we've got intra-family transfer and dissolution. Maybe this was a divorce. Maybe she inherited the property. I don't know. Look, it looks like, see, there's a mortgage here. 142,000. It was taken out in June 2017. And it's at 4.03% over 30 years with SunTrust. There's tons of information here which you wouldn't normally know. So that could have a bearing on it. Link to the tax collector, again, we can see. So tells me that she's got divorced and then she's taken title. We could actually look, if we wanted to, at the deed where she acquired the property, potentially. If you click on this link here, it will take you to the local county website where the deeds are recorded. I'm not going to bother with doing that now, but I suspect she's got divorced, perhaps. So again, tons of information. We could also check the value on this one using the method I just described. But let's go and look at the last one here. And this one here, this is a little different. So again, 163 days on the market, 6 months, hasn't sold, same agent. It's a 4.2.5. What have we got? Well, looks like a 2-story house. Let's go and look at IMAPP again. What can we learn from this one? Well, it's a William Solano. And what have we got here? So this is homestead exemption. We're at 50,000, so it's a married couple. Purchased it for, in 2021, at 280,000. And how much is he asking for it now? 568? Wow, they better have done some work to this, I tell you. Interestingly enough, again, we can text the property. Look, sales history is here again. It's got a pool. I'm curious as to what this guy paid for it. 280. There's an MLS. You see, we can look at that MLS if we want to and refer back to the previous MLS. An easier way of doing that, of course, is just to click on history up here and look at this previous MLS from when he purchased it. Because I would think, oh, it's going to show us the map. That is the one I wanted. Yes, allow. Okay. The moment you walk through this, look, spectacular. What has he done to it? It's not gone up. Has it really gone up that much in value? I would be cautious about this. So you see the amount of information you can get out of IMAPP just by clicking one little button and doing a little bit of homework. There are links, as you can see, to all of the various different documents. You can see the mortgage, if there is one. You can see the property taxes, if need be. You can see previous MLS listings. You can see if properties are taxed. Homestead exemption. We can calculate the value using a comparable property searches. We've got details on schools down here, which are nearby. There's tons of information. I'm actually just going to have a real quick look at where the value should be on this one. Well, yeah, it looks like 450, doesn't it? Not 550. That's not going to sell anytime soon. Who on earth told him it was worth that much? Wowza. Anyway, that wraps up the first part of it, and we're going to move now on to the second part. Okay, and on to the last part of IMAPP, which goes some way into addressing the fact that MLS service, multiple listing service, only covers part of Florida, where your real estate license, of course, covers the whole of Florida. And this is where IMAPP's got a bit of a workaround and something we can utilize. So I'm gonna show you. So we're gonna click on IMAPP, and when we go into a typical search, this is outside of the MLS, of course. We've got these three tabs: tax search, MLS search, and foreclosure search. Now, one of the criticisms of the MLS, as I said, is it doesn't cover the whole of Florida, but IMAPP does. So, for example, let's go and look at Clay County, which I know is up by Jacksonville, and we'll click on foreclosure search. Now, let's just search the entire county. There's 360 foreclosure cases ongoing, and there they all are. You have links to every single one of them. Now, in this case, you may not necessarily be given an address. Here we have one that's 2019, for example. It's in Middleburg, and there's the loan servicer. We could look up the foreclosure cases. These people need a short sale or a way out. Remember, we've got the website Foreclosure Alternatives, which I'm working on at the moment, which gives people options when facing foreclosure. But look at that information that you've got there. Now, on top of which, we've got another option, which is that we can search, as we said here, for property taxes. So let's choose an existing property address. We can find one down here. Well, I want a Middleburg. What was the Middleburg one we were looking at? There's one, Foggy Day Drive. So if we go back up here, and we're going to keep it in the same county, which of course was Clay County, and then we'll do a tax search, and the property street address starts with Foggy. And let's start a search. So there's 62 properties in Foggy Day Drive by the looks of it. And guess where the foreclosure one is? See this little auctioneer's hammer here? Fabulous way of finding distressed properties. And as you can see, clarification here, it's not necessarily listed for sale. There's nothing to indicate that it's for sale. Now, it's outside of our coverage area, so it may, of course, be listed for sale. But you've got tons of information here on all of these individual properties. And that's where we get around partly the problem of the fact that the MLS does not cover the whole state of Florida, whereas IMAPP, in some respects, does. Now, there's one area of it which it is limited again, which is if we go back to this new search and we search for MLS searches, then here we only get the areas covered by the stellar MLS coverage area. So that is limited, but the foreclosures and the tax searches certainly are not. So if you're looking for a property, you find one and you want to know more information about it, and it's in Miami-Dade County, well, guess what? Your friend here, Greg, can look it up, because Miami-Dade's right down there. All right, well, that's going to about wrap up this week's podcast. Again, please give me feedback, any information, good or bad, that you can think, or any area of real estate you want help in. I've got a ton of more ideas about where we can go. Maybe next week we'll look at that rental thing that MLS came up with, or what it was called, rent spree? I don't know. But in the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye. It's easy.